At authorsbroadcast.com, we produce and display book video trailers. In this episode, we meet some authors at the Chicago Book Expo, held at St. Augustine College in the Andersonville, Uptown area. Grab a pencil and paper to be ready to jot down the titles of some of the books you might want to learn more about. Now enjoy watching Authors Showcase.
Hi, I'm Susan Croce Kelli, and this is my book, Route 66, The Highway and Its People. The book is a history of the old road from the grassroots movement that gave us the national highway system in 1926 through the ballyhoo and promotion that gave us what's known as the Bunyan Derby and the song Get Your Kicks on Route 66 and the television show Route 66, all the way through to 1956 when the interstates began bypassing the old roads and Route 66 became nothing more than an icon of American 20th century history. Today, Route 66 is important to millions of people, not just in the United States, but all over the world. There are car clubs in Norway, England, and the Far East, I think Japan, that ship their cars over so people can drive down Route 66. I've been to an event with Polish motorcycle riders who wanted to go down Route 66. And there's museum exhibits in all the car museums all over Europe about the old highway. Interestingly enough, when I was doing research for the book, the photographer and I interviewed Bobby Troup, who wrote Get Your Kicks on Route 66. And he came west after World War II to make his name as a songwriter. And his wife at the time said, well, we're on our way for you to become famous. Why don't you write a book about this trip? You know, how come you don't say, get your kicks on Route 66 or something like that? Later we interviewed Cynthia, and she allowed us how it had been her idea, the phrase, but she said, you know, it was a terrible road. She said there was nothing to do. She said that motels were terrible, the food was bad, you know, and that's all true. The highway goes through some of the most amazing and the most American parts of this country, the Grand Canyon, the Great Southwest, the deserts, but it never was a really fabulous road, except for that it got people from the Middle West to the banks of the Pacific Ocean in Santa Monica. The book is for sale, obviously, through Amazon.com and in bookstores. It was published by the University of Oklahoma Press. And I have a new book coming out about the father of Route 66, which will be out in 2014.
As you might gather from the things that I've done.
Hello, my name is Barbara Joan Zeitz. I'm a women's historian. I have a master's in women's studies from Roosevelt University, and I'm here today because I am celebrating my first book, and my book is titled A Thesaurus of Women, From Cherry Blossoms to Cell Phones. And the reason I wrote this book is because it is full of a lot of women's history that you all know, but it's about women about whom you do not know. And so I'm wanting to tell you about them. And there is a Chicago connection here. A lot of the women about whom I write are from Hull House, and they are not only Jane Addams, but many of the women who lived and worked in Hull House at the turn of the century when she was there. And one of the women I'll tell you about, her name is Dr. Alice Hamilton. She was the first doctor, male or female, to develop workplace medicine, which developed then into what we now all know as OSHA. If there were to be a founder of OSHA, it would be Dr. Alice Hamilton. The book starts with the first chapter on cherry blossoms and the last chapter on cell phones, which is reminiscent in the name, From Cherry Blossoms to Cell Phones, because the beautiful cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. are there because of a woman whose name you do not know. I'll tell you right now. It is Eliza Skidmore, who was a travel author at the turn of the century. She had been to Japan and had witnessed the beautiful cherry blossoms, and Washington, D.C. was a swampland. She suggested to the government that they plant these cherry blossom trees, and she lobbied for 24 years to get them to do that, which they ignored her wishes. However, when President Taft was elected, she knew that he was ambassador to Japan, and he and his wife had lived there. So she got in touch with Mrs. Taft, who as the story goes on, have the political connections, I guess we could say. And today we have beautiful cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. And if you were to go there and visit, you will find there is no coffee cup for Eliza Skidmore, no T-shirt for Eliza Skidmore, and that is why I wrote about her. The last chapter in that book is cell phones, and it is because a woman, Hedy Lamarr, who was a wonderful movie star of the 1940s, was also a brain. She was a polymath, and with a friend of hers, she developed the high-frequency technology that is the wireless technology responsible for the cell phone in your purse, in your hand, or in your pocket. The inspiration for creating the book came from the fact that I was writing an online column. It's on the AAUW Illinois website. And as I was writing this column, as the years were going by, I realized I was not a biographer of, let's say, one historic woman. I was writing about multiple, hundreds of women, and there were thousands of facts, and I could not keep them all straight in my head. Thus, I felt I needed a book in my hand so that I could have it nearby for reference, and also a book that I could give to you, which was your history, and a way of me giving your history to you without you having to go on the internet. As many older women, and I consider myself as an older woman, so that's not a negative statement, do not go on the internet, but they would like to have a book in their hand. And even younger women who do go on the internet, they love to curl up with a good book, and this is a good book because it's your history. The book is available online at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is in ebook form. It is also available at all bookstores. It's a POD book, which is print on demand. It's self-published.
Hi, my name is Jean-Michel Smith. I'm the author of Autonomy, and you're watching Authors Showcase.
Hi, I'm Mark Zubro, the author of Newest Mysteries. My most recent is Another Dead Republican. In my books, if you're racist, sexist, or homophobic, you're almost certainly going to be the corpse. And if you're one of those things, and you're not the corpse, then I would be, if I was in my books, very, very afraid. If you're racist, sexist, homophobic, or a school administrator, not good. The books are set in Chicago. I have two series. Another Dead Republican is the school teacher and his husband, a baseball player. The other series is the Chicago Police Detective series. Paul Turner, the most recent book, Pawn of Satan, just out, is about the death of a Chicago archbishop. And it features his sons and the neighborhood that Paul Turner lives in. I also have Alien Quest, which is also brand new, which is a science fiction, beginning of a science fiction epic set in Chicago, where an alien from another planet visits a gay guy in Boys Town here in Chicago. And if you're interested, it sounds good, you can go to mlrpress.com, amazon.com, or Unabridged Bookstore here in Chicago also always carries them.
This book is based on a true story of CIA psychic spies. In the 1970s, the US and the Soviet Union were locked in the throes of a fierce Cold War. Each country pushed hard for even the slightest advantage that could tip the scales of nuclear war in its favor. After discovering the Soviets were using psychic spies, the CIA tested over 30 million people, leading them to 6 special teams who were recruited for their psychic abilities that soon made them the top intelligence team in the US. 16-year-old Aurora can read auras and uses this ability to save President Ford's life by identifying would-be assassins. As part of her cover, she plays the love interest of a young Marine assigned to guide the team and who she fantasizes about marrying. Becky and Alyssa use their telepathic powers to outwit an evil North Korean psychic and save a U.S. naval vessel and its crew. Another group of young psychic agents uncover the secrets of Area 51 when they receive telepathic pleas from an alien being held captive at the highly secret base. Thrust into the seedy, dangerous, and devious world of espionage, the teenage psychics prove to be very effective spies. They are invited to attend national security meetings and were awarded 2 medals for service to their nation. This is the fascinating story of their struggle to gain respect and appreciation. Get your copy of The CIA Psychic Teens today at Amazon.com.
Hello, my name is Dimitry Samarov. I'm the author of Hack, Stories from a Chicago Cab, which was published by University of Chicago Press in 2011. It is a book that, it's an illustrated work memoir, which tells about my experiences driving a cab in Chicago, and also contains my illustrations. Well, I started out and continue to primarily be a visual artist, so one of the ways that I've been making ends meet is working in a coffee shop and drawing one-of-a-kind coffee bags. And this week, since this is the Chicago Book Expo, I drew a bunch of local authors, and this is one of Alexander Hemon, who will also be appearing here. But as an artist and writer, you need to find 1,000,001 ways to pay the bills, and this is one of the ways that I've hatched. You can find my book at University of Chicago Press's website and Amazon and find retailers everywhere. You can find my coffee bags as well as the delicious fresh roasted coffee at hardboiledcoffeecompany.com, and we have a store in Beverly on the far south side of Chicago. You can buy all sorts of artwork from me at DimitriSamarov.com.
Rage runs red in the small Iowa town of Cedar Falls, where beautiful high school senior Jenny Sangiovanni has an ex-boyfriend with a bad temper. Classmate Tad McGreevy possesses a special gift. He sees auras around others that tell him whether they are good or evil. While asleep, Tad suffers vivid and violent nightmares where he relives the crimes of the evildoers. When best buddy Stevie Scranton goes missing, Tad vows to do everything he can to find him. Now he must learn to control his paranormal powers to save the ones he loves. Enlisting the help of a retired policeman and a group of volunteers, this ragtag team of detectives discovers a monstrous evil more sinister than anyone could imagine. Red is for Rage is the second novel in the award-winning Color of Evil series by Connie Corcoran Wilson. William F. Nolan says of Wilson, "She's good, damn good." Red is for Rage by Connie Corcoran Wilson is available online and at your favorite bookseller.
Hi, my name is Martha Bain, and this is my book, The Soup and Bread Cookbook, Building Community One Pot at a Time. The Soup and Bread Cookbook is actually one part of a larger project that I've been working on for the last 5 years called Soup and Bread. It's a free community meal program that I organize at a local bar called The Hideout. It's a bar and music club. And every Wednesday evening in the wintertime for the last 5 years, we've had these free Soup and Bread community dinners where I get a bunch of different cooks, both professional and amateur, to donate pots of soup. We serve them in crock pots at the bar. And anybody who wants to can come and eat. We get bread donated from a variety of local bakeries. And we take a pay-what-you-can donation at the door, and all the money that we raise every week is donated to a different food pantry or soup kitchen. So we have been doing it, for 5 years. We're starting our sixth season January 8th at the Hideout, 1354 West Wabansia. And in those 5 years, we've raised almost $40,000 for a wide range of hunger relief organizations, both in Chicago and nationally. We've done events in New York, in Seattle, in Philadelphia, Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and a couple of other cities. And it's been a very, very fun project. Started out very small and has really taken on a life of its own. All the recipes in the book are recipes for soups and breads that have been served by a wide range of local cooks at events in Chicago, and a couple of them are from out of state, but most of them are from Chicago. We've got some professional cooks in here, some pretty big names like Paul Kahan and Stephanie Izzard, Jill Barron from Manna Food Bar, Cletus Friedman, a couple of other local, pretty well-known local chefs, as well as a wide range of local musicians, artists, food activists, farmers, and just regular people who are avid home soup cooks. The book is available on Amazon. It's available from the publisher, Agate Publishing, which is an Evanston-based publishing company. And it's also available off of my website, which is soupandbread.net.
Greetings to everybody out there in the world. My name is J. Eric Booker. I am an author as well as being a disabled veteran. But in my beliefs that anybody can overcome, your disabilities, and you can find other strengths from your weaknesses. And in my particular case, I wrote this one. I've written 3 books so far that are out in the market, but this is the beginning one of my epic fantasy trilogy, The Swords of the Sultan. And it's about a young orphan boy struggling to survive, drinking from these dirty animal troughs or stealing food, which by imperial law means the loss of a hand, perhaps the life. In my protagonist's case, he does get caught, like what happens to most thieves. Fortunately for him, it's not by a guard, but by a beautiful and exotic woman from a faraway land who not only offers him breakfast, but surprisingly reveals that she's a master thief and proposes that he become trained to be the same. The story begins with this book right here and continues on in the sequel called The Reign of the Sultan. And in this one, my character has become the powerful sultan of an empire with hundreds of thousands under his command. But at the same time, he's got some major threats coming his way. And not just besides this little dragon here, but he's got a massive army with, I believe there's 3 times the amount of enemy that he has with his own forces. So he has to unite his people against this overwhelming enemy and be able to snuff them out and win and keep his empire. Both of these books can be easily found at www.amazon.com/author/J. Eric Booker.
Hi, my name is Kelli Gilmore, and I am the author of Mohagany. It's a paranormal romance novel. My 2 main characters are Edric and Valerie. Valerie is being set up on a blind date by her friend Jordan, and she meets Edric, and it's instant lust at first sight. They fall in love quickly after that, and they escape to New Orleans to just explore each other. But while they're there, she finds out that he's not what he says he is, and neither is she. So she's thrown into this whole paranormal world that she had no idea existed, and not only that, she finds out someone is out to kill her. So she just learned to trust Edric. He drops this bomb on her. Then she has to trust him to save her life. So you find out what they go through and how their love prevails, and if at the end she survives it all. Mohagany is available on Amazon.com in print and Kindle. You can get it on BarnesandNoble.com in print and Kindle, and you can also get it on Smashwords.com.
Hospital pharmacist Alex Benedict's work is a perpetual battle against death, and he is also personally haunted by its grim specter. When he happens upon a shocking audio recording that leads him to conclude one of his own colleagues may be involved in the mysterious demise of several patients, the suspect claims he is in the possession of a powerful compound that will shatter the world of medicine. After witnessing its seemingly miraculous effect, Benedict embarks upon a quest to solve the riddle. If he can piece together the trail of clues, Benedict is promised the opportunity to lift death's eternal shroud from his own life. In a frantic life and death chase stretching up and down the East Coast, Benedict must elude the lethal pursuit of the sinister cabal who want the formula for themselves. In the story's stunning climax, Benedict is forced to make an incredible, life-altering choice. David Perry, the national best-selling author of The Cyclops Conspiracy, once again demonstrates his consummate skill as a thrill master with another brilliantly woven, exhilarating, and poignant tale of suspense and intrigue. Perry challenges his readers with a clever, fast-paced plot, offering bombshell twists at every turn. Get your copy of Second Chance today.
My name is Giano Cromley, and the book that I've written is The Last Good Halloween. It's a novel about a 15-year-old boy who comes home from computer camp one day to find that his stepfather has moved out and the neighbor from across the street has moved in. And he spends the rest of the novel trying to piece together the family that seems to be falling apart around him. The title, The Last Good Halloween, refers to that idea that when you're a child, Halloween is the most awesome holiday ever, and you spend months and months getting ready for it and getting candy and all these things. And then at a certain point, you reach an age where it doesn't mean anything to you. And the moment in this Halloween in this novel is when the protagonist, Kirby, realizes that Halloween has lost all meaning for him. He doesn't realize it, but he's becoming an adult by virtue of the fact that he's learning how the adult world works. And he's realizing that a lot of times adults are doing things that are in their own best interest and don't necessarily have his best interests at heart. This is a tough realization, but it's one that leaves him wiser at the end. The Last Good Halloween is published by Tortoise Books, which is an independent publisher based here in Chicago. The book is available on Amazon, both in paperback and Kindle versions, and you can also order it at your local independent bookstore.
You're watching Author Showcase!
My name is Jessica Cage, and I am a local Chicago author. I write paranormal fiction as well as mystery and suspense. Today I'm here to talk just a little bit about my book, The High Arc Revitalized. It is the first in a series that is about vampires and aliens. It's my love of vampires mixed with my mother's love of sci-fi aliens. We had sci-fi Saturdays growing up, and that contributed to my wild imagination and love of words created this series. It is about Alexa, who is a 20-year-old woman who's dealing with a debilitating disease, and she finds out that this disease is a curse that was placed on her to stop her from finding out that she is the queen of an alien race of vampires. The book is a series going into book 2, which is Guidance of Rasmyah, as well as book 3 coming out January 2014, which is Alexa's Addendum. It is a story of women and strength, which is something that I learned from my mom, and I want to be able to portray to women everywhere. I want to show them that just because you don't start off as the superhero, the big bad woman, doesn't mean you can't make it there. It is available on Amazon.com as well as CreateSpace. Also, it is in a few local stores in Chicago as well as the Rockford area. You can reach me at Facebook /JCAGE author.
Hey, I'm Bo Garlington. This is my book, Death by Children. I had kids, so you don't have to. You can think of this book as a collection of my humor columns from the last 4 years out of Chicago parenting, or you can think of it as a form of birth control. It's your choice. Inside, you're going to find hilarious stories about how I have failed as a parent constantly and consistently throughout my children's childhood. There are stories about my son being raised by Google. There are stories about me having to learn how to fold my daughter's thong, which I'm not proud of. And there's stories in there. There's a direct letter, an open letter from my dogs to me about how I keep using their water bowl to urinate in. this is what the book is about. You can find Death by Children at Barnes & Noble and other fine bookstores, and also on Amazon.com.
Hi there, I'm Amy Joy Lutchin, author of Renhala, an urban fantasy based here in Chicago. It is a story of a woman that goes through some humiliation, transformation, and empowerment. And this book is very important to me. I wrote it during a very dark period in my life, and I hope that others can read it, learn a little bit, and I hope it inspires them to do their own writing. You can find the book at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Smashwords.
Hi, I'm Jerry Brennan, and this is my book, Resistance. And basically it's a World War II historical fiction for anybody who prefers the Brothers Karamazov to the Sisters Kardashian. It's a funnier book than you might think by the cover, but it is about the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich in Prague in 1942. So there's Nazis, there's sex, which you shouldn't need anything more than that, but there's a lot of fascinating history and a lot of interesting characters. In the book, we find out about Reinhard Heydrich, who was the hidden pivot of Nazi Germany, one of his contemporaries called him. He orchestrated the final solution. He was the brains of the SS, and he was assassinated, but a lot of people don't know about it because it was controversial and caused reprisals. And the book gets into that, and also gets into larger questions about the morality of assassinating people. You like to think that fighting evil would be a good thing, but it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more gray areas in the book. What I hope people will come away with is a more nuanced understanding of World War II rather than greatest generation hokum, kind of. Just an understanding that everybody on both sides was a person with their own hopes and dreams and fears, and you can connect to the heroes and the villains in this book, which is something I like about it. I wrote about this because I'd read a lot of World War II stuff, and when I first came across it, I'd never heard of this assassination. It seemed remarkable that it was such a high-ranking Nazi was assassinated, and I hadn't heard about it. And so basically, I wrote a book that I felt was missing in a book that I felt I would have wanted to read. It's available on Amazon. It's available at independent bookstores like Uncharted Books and Printers Row at the Printers Row bookstore there. Tortoisebooks.com is my publishing imprint that I founded to launch this book.